Hi everybody, this is Miss Madeline and I am at the Harrison Park School Garden here on this beautiful sunny March day. Do you know what month it is right now? You got it, it's March, and that means spring is right around the corner. In springtime, it gets warmer, sunnier, and lots of plants start growing, flowers start blooming, and lots of other changes happen. It's also the time of year we plant a lot of seeds in our garden. So that's why we're taking a close look at what those seeds need in order to sprout, grow, and thrive. Before we get started on our lesson, I wanted to share with you the sign for plant in American Sign Language. It goes like this. Take your left hand and form a little, maybe like a pot, and then with your right hand you are going to make a plant grow right out of it. Here we go. Can you do it with me? Plant. And this sign can also be used to mean grow. How cool is that? I think learning sign language is really fun. So we can learn a little bit more about seeds, I did an experiment where I sprouted some seeds at home. This is a little bean seed. I sprouted a bunch in this little plastic bag. We can see the seed, the leaves popping out of it, and some roots. Do you think this little guy can keep surviving just in this plastic bag with a wet paper towel? Do you think it could grow into a full bean plant? Probably not. I think it will need a few more things now that it's sprouted to grow big and tall. The kiddos in this book, called How a Seed Grows, did the same thing as me. They started some bean seeds at home and watched them grow. So we're going to take a look inside this book and see what they did and how their beans turned out. We're not going to read the whole book, but there's some cool pictures in here. So this is their bean seed that they started out with, and they chose to grow them in these little egg shells. So they put a little soil in the egg shell, made a little hole, and put the beans inside, and then they sprinkled each egg shell with a little bit of water. And then they put their eggshells with their seeds on the windowsill. And that is where I put my baggie of seeds too. I taped it to my window actually, so that it would get sunlight. Exactly. And then down in the soil, their seeds slowly started to sprout. That a little root started coming out. The seed coat started opening up, and then it started coming out of the ground. Finally, a little leaf started sprouting out. So this picture in the book is a lot like the stage my bean seeds are at, except they're not in the soil, but they sprouted roots and leaves right out of that bean seed. So then these kiddos took their beans outside and planted them in their garden. Do you think I could plant this in my garden? Well, because I didn't grow it in soil, it would probably have a hard time making its home in the soil in a garden. So I might not be able to plant this, but these guys planted theirs in the soil. It needs soil. And then what did they do? They watered them and made sure they got sunlight. So that is how their bean seeds are going to be able to grow into full bean plants with beautiful beans that they can pick and harvest. So that's the end of this book. And we saw in this book that the seeds and then the plants needed a couple of things in order to grow and thrive. So let's keep thinking about that. 'What are the things that a plant needs? Well, we know that my bean seeds, in order to sprout, what did I put them in? I put them in a plastic baggie with a paper towel in there. Was that paper towel wet or dry? The paper towel was wet with water because those seeds needed water in order to soften up and start sprouting. So water is definitely important. What else does the plant need? Well, just like us humans, we need to breathe air, right? Did you know that plants need to breathe too? They need air to live just like we do. What about over here? What does this represent? Today we have a lot of this shining down. Our plants are very happy because they need sunlight, right? They need the sun to make their food. They make their food from the sunlight. It's amazing. But in order to do that, they have to have somewhere to live, right? Where do they live? Down here in the soil. They need their roots to go down in the soil. And then here is our last picture. What do we think this is all about? If a plant has soil, sun, air, and water, that sounds like all the things that it needs, but what if it's really crowded? What if it's growing too close to another plant? Will it be able to get enough of all of these things? Maybe not. So that's why we also need to make sure our plants have space to grow. They need space. So with all of these things together, soil, sun, air, water, and space, our seed can sprout and grow into a full-size plant. Now that we have all of this information about how seeds can sprout, let's do a little practicing using a little pretending imagination to get a feel for what it's really like to be a seed who is sprouting and growing just like my bean seeds. Are you ready to use your imagination? Today I actually have with me my magic garden wand. Ooh, and I'm going to use this to turn you magically into a tiny seed. Okay, are you ready to become a seed? 3, 2, 1. Boop. You are now a seed. Okay, let's be a seed with me. I turned into a seed too. I'm all curled up. I'm in my little seed coat. I'm all protected. But then suddenly, a gardener comes along and sprinkles something on my head. What does the gardener sprinkle on my head? Maybe some water. I'm soaking up all that water. And then I start to sprout. I'm gonna sprout up some little leaves and I'm gonna sprout out some roots. So sprout out a root, dig it down into the soil. Maybe say hi to the worms while you're down there. So I've sprouted out some roots, some leaves. Now that I've sprouted, I can start growing tall, big and tall with my leaves, my stem. Can you get big and tall too? Growing, growing, growing. Now that I'm way up here, what do I get to hang out with? The sun. And the sun will help me grow bigger and bigger because it gives me energy. Yes. What else do plants need though besides the sun, the soil, water? Remember, they need air. Let's take a big deep breath in. Just like a plant needs air, we need air. And you can see around me, do I have a lot of space? Yes, that's the last thing we need as plants. Space. Good job. You are a great looking plant. Wow, I am so impressed with you. You've learned so much about plants today. I think you are ready to be a gardener. Would you like to grow your own seeds at home? I think you can now that you know what they need. I'm gonna show you what I did to sprout seeds at home so you can give it a try yourself. So here's what you're gonna need. Like I showed you before, a small plastic baggie like this, damp paper towel in there. So the first thing I did was I soaked these beans in water for a couple of days. This really made sure that their seed coat, which is on the outside, got all soaked up with water and softened up enough so that the rest of the seed can sprout out. And then once you have your paper towel in your baggie, you can plant your seeds. So yes, they don't have soil, but they will still actually sprout just with water and air. So I didn't close my bag all the way. I left a little opening on the end and I taped that to my window. Why would I tape it to my window? To get sunlight, yes. You can use seeds that you would have used to cook with if you want. Like if you have dry black beans at home, pinto beans, those will sprout. Or you can go to the store and buy a seed packet of peas, work really well, any kind of bean. It's fun to do with bigger seeds. And you may have some of those lying around at home, who knows? Here's all of my seeds. You can see that most of them, I think all of them, are at least starting to sprout. And because I had these in the window and they were getting sunlight, their leaves are nice and green. Thank you for learning about plants with me today. It's almost spring and that is a great time to get outside and check out which plants are starting to grow, who is blooming, who is growing new leaves. And I hope you'll get a chance to grow some plants at home. See you all next time.